Hi, I'm Banjo Joe, and I'm going to show you the best way to change your banjo strings. So if you like videos like this one, make sure and hit subscribe, because this is the second video in a series of banjo maintenance tips and tricks that I'm putting out on my channel. So you don't want to miss the next one. Hit the subscribe button and hit the like button if you like this video. So let's get into this. Okay, before we get started, I just want to say I'm not a professional banjo repairman. This is not a banjo repair shop. This is my house. This is my dining room table. I'm just like hanging out, doing my own thing. And this is the best way to change your banjo strings, but the way you do yours is up to you. Your banjo is in your own hands. I just want to say that right now. Do the right thing for your banjo. I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to show you the best way to change your banjo strings. So basically what we're going to do is take the strings off, and we're going to clean the fretboard, and we're going to put a new set of strings on so it's all ready to go. You're going to need a couple things to change your banjo strings the best way. First, you're going to need a pencil, some banjo strings, cutters and some needle nose pliers, almond oil and paper towels, and a tuner. So take the pencil and mark around the corners of the bridge to mark its location. Now that we've marked the location of the bridge, it's time to take all the strings off. So I'll just start with the fifth string and start unwinding it. And once you get it loose, take your cutters and cut it in half. Just unwind it off the tuner and take the string off the banjo. So just unhook the string after you've cut it off and take it off of the tailpiece. When you take the strings off, you can kind of coil them up and just kind of twist them into a little thing. That way they don't go everywhere. From here, I'm just going to take the D string off. And just unwind the tuner until it's slack, and then cut it in the middle. The bridge is now loose. That's why we marked it earlier. So now we've got all the strings off and the neck is exposed. So I'm going to take that almond oil and I'm going to put a little bit on a paper towel, and I'm just going to go over the fretboard and I'm going to use it to clean the fretboard. It'll also soak into the wood and treat it a little bit. Get a little almond oil on there, like so, and start wiping it down. Make sure you go like this so you get right up next to the fret and get that grime and dirt out of there, and let this oil penetrate the wood. Get around your fifth string nut real good. Make sure and just clean all the way down. Ooh, look at that. That's a dirty banjo neck. So now I'll go back over and wipe all the excess off. Make sure and get up against the frets really good. Get that grime off of there. Gross. So I'll go ahead, since it was still dirty, I'll go ahead and fold another paper towel up and get some more fresh almond oil on it. And just do the same thing again. Go ahead and clean the headstock off while you have all the strings off. It's a great time to do that. Just wipe it down a little bit. So go back over and wipe that second coat of almond oil off. And look at that, polished up, looking really good. Clean the frets. It's time to put the new strings on. Make sure and get all the excess oil off, and off your hands too before you handle the strings. Let's start with the first string. So take the string out and just unwind it, and then it'll have a hoop in one end and then just be straight in the other end. Take the hoop end and hook it on the first hook on the tailpiece. Then put it in the first slot of the bridge. Now turn your first string tuner around where the hole lines up with the neck, so you can easily take the straight end of the string and thread it through the tuning peg. So once you've got the string in position, start turning the tuning peg outboard, away from the neck and fretboard. The first time around, make the loose end of the string pass over the top of the banjo string that's going down the neck. Now go ahead and turn that all the way around, and the second time pass this loose end of the string underneath the banjo string, and then over the top, and then underneath. And then you can just wind it on up after that. And get plenty of string on there. I'll just let it pass over the top on every other turn now, but that should lock the string in so it doesn't slip when you're tuning or when you're playing hard, and pull a little bit of string out of there and let it slip back out of tune, because you don't want that to happen whenever you're at the Banjo Championships about to win a trophy. Now, as the string tightens up, you want to make sure it goes in the first slot of the nut here, and in the first slot of the bridge, and the first slot of the tailpiece. So before you get it too tight, go back and make sure it's in all the right slots. So we'll leave the first string pretty loose just to kind of hold everything in place. We don't want to put a lot of tension on it yet. So take the second string and hook it on the second hook. Put the string through there, it's like threading a needle. And then make sure you've got plenty of slack. Maybe hold your string up about that high, so you've got plenty of slack to wind up around the tuning peg. So start turning it outboard on the banjo. So the G string on this Deering banjo is a little bit different on the tailpiece. There's a hole for the G string, or the third string. You have to thread it through, and then I find using the needle nose to get a hold of this end, and then pull the string through like that. Okay, now we've hooked the third string on the third hook. It's threaded through the tailpiece. Bring it down here and thread it through the third string tuning peg. Pull your string up about that high so you have plenty of slack, and start winding outboard away from the banjo. Make sure that is in the third slot of the nut and the third slot of the bridge. So that string is on there. It's still pretty loose. We're going to leave it that way. Okay, now it's time for the fourth string. For the fourth string, hook it on the fourth hook, and then thread it through your tailpiece in the fourth slot of the bridge, and then turn your tuning peg to line up with the neck so you can thread the string through. Make sure you have plenty of slack with this big string because it's going to wind up fast onto the tuning peg, and you want to have plenty in there so you can get it in and it doesn't slip. So when you're twisting it in, remember to turn it outboard away from the banjo on this side. Now when you put on new strings, they're going to stretch a little bit, so you'll have to play it and tune it a few times before they get stretched out. Okay, and just make sure your bridge is where it's supposed to be too. Remember, we marked it with a pencil for this earlier, so it's going back where it's supposed to be. Okay, time for the fifth string. Just flew out of there. They're springy little things, aren't they? Thank you. This is my assistant, Danielle. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, earlier when I took the fifth string out, the fifth string tuner peg came out of the banjo. And they're never really glued in. They're just kind of tensioned in there. And once you tighten the string down, it'll kind of hold it in place. So be careful when you're taking that string out. You can pop it out. Don't be afraid though. It's okay. Just put it back in there where it was and press it in firmly, and then the tension of the string will hold it in place. So the fifth string goes through the fifth hook on the tailpiece. Then thread it through the tailpiece and put it in the fifth slot and pull it through. Make sure it stays hooked on and threaded through. Make sure you've got plenty of slack. We're going to start winding it in. Remember to turn it outboard of the banjo neck. All right, twisty, twisty all the way home. We've got all 5 strings on the banjo. Now we're going to slowly tighten them down to get it close to tune. Getting a little bit of tension on, just go back and just make sure your bridge is where it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to put the tuner on and start tuning it up. So when you're tuning new strings, you've really got to tune them a few times so they can stretch and settle in. So just get them kind of close and let it strum a little bit and keep going back and forth and tuning them up. So we've got all the strings on, we've got them all tuned up, and now all we got to do is trim the ends. Sometimes I just clip the strings off when I'm done, but it leaves like a little sharp end, and you got to get a free blood test, you know, every now and then. So I want to show you the best way to clip your strings off when you're done putting on new strings. So you take the loose end of the string and bring it around and thread it back through the hole that it's coming out of. Pull it tight with the needle nose pliers, and then take your snippers and clip it right close to the tuning peg, and the tension from that string will pull the sharp end of the string back into the slot, and it will leave no sharp edges on your banjo. So if you don't want to go through all that trouble, just trim these up as close as you can to the tuning peg. That's the best way to change your banjo strings right there. If you like this video, hit the like button and make sure and subscribe to my channel so you'll know when the next banjo maintenance tips and tricks video comes out. If you like to hear me play the banjo, go check out some other videos. I got a whole playlist of me playing the banjo. So go over there and check out all the videos we got. We've got an adventure series of a bunch of travel and outdoor stuff. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Brand new strings.
Mercy, girl.
Mars.